How's it everyone, Grant here, welcome back to the channel. And don't you just love it when you come home to packages at your front door? And I was lucky enough to come home to the Google Pixel 2 XL waiting for me right there. So it seems like all the Pixel 2 and Pixel 2 XLs are shipping out. So if you've already got yours, congratulations. If you didn't and you're waiting on it, hang in there. In the meantime, let's check out this unboxing video. And here is the Pixel XL from last year, so we'll do a bit of comparison to that. And I thought I'd show you the box that it came in because Google customized it here so you can see the hi there from the Google store. And on top they have their Project Fi quick start guide, so they're really trying to sell you on using Project Fi here. And there is the box for the Pixel 2 XL and more in the box. Great to meet you. But there is the Pixel 2 XL box. On the side you can see they're really selling that Google Assistant and the improvements they've made to that, so we'll check that out as we go through and use the phone. Side profile of the phone there, and you got Team Pixel on the back. So let's just go ahead and cut into the box here and take off the top for the big reveal. And there is your Google Pixel 2 XL. So I got the all black version, couldn't get the Panda or the black and white Oreo version of it, but there that is. We'll check out what else we're getting in the box from Google. You've got your nighttime reading, presumably, so welcome to Team Pixel. And let's see if we can see what they include in here. Getting started, quick start guides in many languages, so you want to check that out. Some nighttime reading there for you. And they also include here a USB to Type-C adapter for transferring over your data from another phone and other data transfers. Underneath that, you can see here we've got the Type-C to Type-C cable. So Google's always good about including a Type-C to Type-C cable because they use USB power delivery as their standard for charging. And we're going to get a dongle or an adapter here for your headphone jack this time. So Type-C to 3.5mm headphone jack, because Google did away with the headphone jack this year, following suit with everyone else. And this is probably going to be your wall adapter for charging. See, so Type-C in, or Type-C out I should say, and 9 volts 2 amps there. So quick charging with USB power delivery, and that's everything in the box. And we'll get to the star of the show here, which is the Pixel 2 XL. We'll take that off, but you can see here on the front a little nod to the Google Assistant there. Just start with OK Google. Also highlighting the squeeze feature, so you can squeeze the sides much like the U11, but it's going to launch the Assistant, and I don't think that's going to be customizable as of yet. We'll take off the packaging there. And there is the Pixel 2 XL. As you can see, they tried to move towards a closer to bezel-less design, but probably larger bezels than most phones that came out with this type of design this year. But they did include those dual front-facing speakers at the top and the bottom there. On the bottom, you can see you've got your Type-C port. On the left-hand side, you've got SIM card tray, no micro SD card here, secondary microphone, and your power button and volume rockers. On the back, the familiar Pixel design returns here, so you got this aluminum bottom half with a presumably glass casing up top here, but instead of having it all the way down to where it's over the fingerprint, they moved it up a bit, so the fingerprint is part of that aluminum backing there. You've got your 12.2 megapixel camera sensor there, so no dual sensors here. Google, much like last year with the Pixel, doing a lot of their magic with their software, but they have added optical image stabilization here, so that's great. And we all know what Google's done with software processing on their images. Last year with the Google Pixel and Google Pixel XL with a lesser camera than this, so looking forward to seeing what kind of pics this one shoots. You've got your Google branding there on the bottom. So we can go ahead and power this on and run through the specs a little bit, maybe even comparing it where it differs from the Pixel XL from last year. And you can see there the bezels around the XL there. But this year Google has opted to go towards a POLED display, so it's a 6-inch POLED display this year versus AMOLED on the XL. 6 inches on the Pixel 2 XL versus 5.5 from last year. 1440 by 2880, so a 2:1 aspect ratio on the new Pixel 2 XL here. It's got Gorilla Glass 5. Of course, you're going to have Android O Oreo, Snapdragon 835 versus the 821 from last year. 4 gigs of RAM, 64 gigs of storage, 4 gigs of RAM, 32 or 128 last year. So again, 12.2 megapixel camera on the rear with an f-stop of 1.8. It does include OIS this year versus the 12.3 megapixel camera, so dropped 0.1 megapixel from last year. But it did have a narrower aperture at f2.0 last year and only had EIS, no OIS. So a little bit bumped up specs here on the rear camera on the Pixel 2 XL, and perhaps even better image processing, which was already great on last year's XL. Also looks like this year's Pixel 2 XL has a slightly larger sensor, but smaller pixels. So it's got 1.4 micron pixels versus the 1.55 from last year. I'm not sure if that's really going to affect much of anything. It does still record up to 4K video. Looks to be the same front camera sensors on each, so still with the 8 megapixel sensor on both with an f-stop of f/2.4, both with 1.4 micron size pixels, and both can record up to 1080p video. So I'm not sure if there's a newer sensor here in the front camera. Specs seem to be the same. And this year Google has managed to actually bump up the battery life slightly where other people may be reducing it. So last year on the Pixel XL it was 3,450 milliamp hours. This year they've gone to 3,520, so a little bit larger battery than most manufacturers are coming out with this year. Most are coming out with closer to 3,000. Google here with a 3,520 milliamp hour battery, so hopefully we get some good battery life here on the Pixel 2 XL. So now that we've kind of gone through all the specs and we have the Pixel XL from last year, we can do a quick physical comparison here. So Pixel 2 XL, maybe just a little bit taller. Close to the same width though. It's actually maybe looks to be a little bit wider here, but pretty much about the same width. And if we look from the side profile here, the Pixel 2 XL looks to be a little bit thinner. There's your bottom profile there, and up top, and from the back there. So you can see they did move up that glass a little bit this year on the 2 XL. And of course this black finish is a little bit darker here. It's a little bit darker matte black than the grayish finish from last year. I guess one thing to note here is that you can see there the Pixel XL had that ridged power button last year and it's not ridged this year. Some people like that feel. I know I do, so just something to point out there. And maybe one more thing to note is that you can see the antenna bands on the bottom there and at the top around the edges on the Pixel XL from last year. And if you look at this year, you don't really see any antenna bands at all. So really nothing on the bottom or on the top. So they must have really gotten it to house maybe within this glass or something, but nothing really stands out there. It's all a very clean looking design here on the Pixel 2 XL. And I'll just power on both screens here. You can kind of get a better size of the displays here. So I'll put a white background here on both. And as you can see, there is the size comparison of the actual display. So 5.5 inch, 16:9 aspect ratio here, 1440p, 18:9 or 2:1 aspect ratio on the 2 XL. So that gives you a better idea of the actual size comparison and difference between the two screens there. So let's see if we can go ahead and breeze through the setup here on the Pixel 2 XL. Okay, so here we are at the fingerprint setup. So we'll try to do this in real time so you can see how long this takes to do. And then we'll touch the sensor on the back there. So 7 taps there. We'll add another one. 5, 6 taps on that one. So really quick to set up a fingerprint scanner here on the Pixel 2 XL. So here we are on the new Android Oreo home screen on the Pixel 2 XL. You can see there the search bar at the bottom. And this is kind of bright. We'll try to dim it down a little bit here for the camera. And we can go ahead into settings real quick. Check out the system and about phone. So there you go, running Android 8.0 Oreo with the September 5th security patch there. And let's quickly check out how much storage is used out of the box here. So 12.23 gigs. That's a little bit big, I think, for just stock Android maybe and some of the stock apps, but not too bad, but a little bit more than I was expecting. And we can go check out that eSIM card. So if we go to network, mobile network, hit carrier. So here it is using by default the eSIM card up there with Project Fi. And here's how you can switch to the actual SIM card. Just tap on it. It'll ask you if you want to switch. You hit that. You unlock your phone again, and it'll actually go ahead and switch. And now you're using the SIM card that's put into the device, into the SIM card slot there. So that's my T-Mobile card. And now that's enabled, and it's using the T-Mobile SIM card there. So that's how you would change and toggle between your eSIM and your actual regular SIM card. And we can also go in and check out our display settings here. So let's check out advanced and see what we have. So you can toggle vivid colors on and off. So if you want to change the color profile there, that's about all you're going to have. But you notice down here we have ambient display. So that is their always on display. So you can see by default it's on. So if I turn this off, that is their always on display there. So if you don't like that, you want to turn it off, that's how you can go in and toggle it off. And here's how you get to your fingerprint gestures. You have to go down here into System, Languages, Advanced. So it's really buried here. And there you can see some of your gestures there. So Active Edge, if you hit that. So that's your squeeze functionality and how sensitive you want that to be. And you can toggle that on and off for a squeeze for assistant, show and screen is off, and squeeze for silence. So those are options there with that squeeze feature. And here's where you would adjust the sensitivity and whether you want those options on or off or not. And then you've got your swipe fingerprint for notifications. So we'll turn that on. I wish this was on by default, but much like the previous Pixel, if you just swipe down on the fingerprint scanner, it brings on your notification shade, and you swipe down twice, it brings it all the way down. Swipe it back up to get rid of it. So useful gesture there. Double tap to check phone. So when it's off, you can double tap the screen and it'll wake it up. And some other gestures here, jump to camera. So with the screen off, quick access to your camera, double tap the power button, launch the camera. The other gesture here is to shake the camera like your moto gesture, twist, and it'll flip to the front camera, twist again, and it'll flip it back to the rear camera. So that's another helpful gesture there. And that's found right there, flip camera. So you can choose to toggle that on or off if you want. And let's go ahead and see if we have any other system updates here from Google. So system updates, let's check it out here. So no updates out of the box from Google just yet. And we can go ahead here and check out the default apps that are installed. Should be very stock and very light. So all the Google apps there. It does have Allo, Android Pay, comes with Daydream there, Duo, pretty light stock implementation as you would expect. And also one of the standout features here on the Pixel 2 XL are its dual front-facing speakers. So you can see it there at the bottom and at the top. And that's causing a little bit more bezel along the sides, not just the top and bottom. And some people are probably not liking that, and they're noticing more bezel here on the sides. And that's probably because they actually had to fit these front-facing speakers in there, and they couldn't push the bezels as far to the sides as they wanted. So a little bit of compromise to get back these front-firing speakers. So let's go check out to see if it was worth it. I've got one of my videos fired up here with some audio, and that's at max volume. And I'll put it by the mic so you can kind of see if it. So that's just a quick test of those speakers there. It does get pretty loud. I'm not going to say it's super loud, but I'll test it out some more with some other different kinds of music. But just to give you a quick sample there, I'm not sure if it's going to be the loudest speakers on the market, but it is definitely a good thing to have dual front-firing speakers. And again, I'll test it with more types of music and let you know more about it in some upcoming videos. And there you can see that live wallpaper on the home screen with the crashing waves. That actually looks pretty nice and pretty cool effect there. Not really sure what that's going to do to battery life, but it is a cool effect. And like you would expect from a Pixel device, the UI is fast and fluid. It just moving around, it's very smooth, has that Pixel smoothness to it. So I expect that to continue because the Pixel XL has not slowed down for me in the year of usage that it's had. So expect it to continue here on the Pixel 2 XL with Android O. And let's take a quick look at the camera app because the cameras are a big deal here on the Pixel devices like they always are. So stock camera app that you're used to looking at from Google here. Probably no manual modes again. So there you go. You have slow motion, panorama, photosphere, portrait mode, and your settings. So no manual mode here, which is unfortunate for those who want more control over their photos. Go into settings here, and we can actually take a look here at some of the resolution settings. So there you go. On the rear facing camera, 12.2 max resolution there. Front camera, 8 megapixels. And let's take a look at what they have in advanced settings. That seems new. So here we go. HDR plus control. Show manual control for HDR plus. When this control is not shown, HDR plus is on. So when this is off, you're not going to see an HDR option here, which is usually located somewhere up here at the top. So let's go in here and actually go ahead and go back to advanced, enable this, and there we go. So you have your HDR toggles up there. So if you want to know where the HDR toggles went, go ahead into the advanced camera settings and toggle it back on. and there you'll have it back there. And so here are the video resolution settings. So the rear camera, you can see there, UHD 4K at 30 frames per second, 1080p or 720p. So if you're not seeing 60 frames per second, fear not. If you actually go back in the camera app, you can actually swipe to get to your video, and you'll have your frames per second toggle there. So if you hit that, you have the option between 30 or 60 frames per second 1080p video. And here are the front camera video resolution settings, up to 1080p video from the front facing camera there. Video stabilization on, and it should stay on even up to 4K resolution, just like it was on the previous Pixel XL. And we can explore other settings here at the top of your camera. So you've got your timer, HDR plus toggle if you enable that in the advanced settings. And this is something new here. This is their motion photo. So when motion is on, each photo you take could include a short video. So this is kind of like the live photos from iOS and Apple, and some other companies are also implementing this type of a thing now. So that's what motion photo here is. If you don't want it, you can always just turn it off. And there is your normal grid along with your color temperature presets. So you can play with that if you want to get some different preset color temperatures. And of course, you can toggle your flash on, off, or auto. I'll just keep it off. And you can just tap on the video icon to get the video, or you can just swipe from the right to do the same. And at the top, these are the settings that you're going to have: your grid, your temperature settings, and flash control. And just the ability to swap the camera with the toggle here, or again, you have your motion settings if you choose to enable that, which is very convenient. And let's see if we can take a quick sample photo here. So we'll bring in Chewy here, and I'll see if I can do this on camera as much as possible. Just try to frame them up there, snap the pic, and there it is. So really quick shutter speed as you would expect, and zoom in. You can see some of that detail in there. But of course, I'll be testing this out fully with the front and rear cameras, photos and video, like I normally do with some camera samples. I'll also compare it to some other phones' cameras. So let me know what phone cameras you want compared to against this Pixel XL2 here. And what's cool about this is you can actually see that live motion. So if we hit that button there, you can see them bobbling around a little bit. And let's go see if we can try their portrait mode there. So turn that on. Try to get it a little bit farther away here, see how this works. Tap to focus and snap. Let's take a look. So it finished processing. I'm not really seeing a lot of effects there, but you can see portrait icon right there. So it took a portrait photo. I'm not really seeing kind of any kind of bokeh effect or anything. So I'm not really sure. This is more dependent on people versus objects, but tapping on that adds effects to make professional looking portraits. And I'm not really seeing what it did. I don't see an option to, maybe if we edit, but that's just a standard Google Photos edit. I don't see anywhere to edit a bokeh effect. So we'll test out portrait mode a little bit more on different subjects, but just in this quick test here on a figurine, it didn't really seem to do much. So there you go, my unboxing and run through of the Google Pixel 2 XL. Let me know in the comments anything else you want to see about the Pixel 2 XL, any other phone cameras you want this compared against, and as always, thanks for watching.